and welcome to the first official episode of 2021 where we're actually talking about a horror movie and not a children's film from our childhood. And this one is picked by me. It is the 1980 classic, quote-unquote, Fade to Black, a movie that Scott absolutely despised. I actually really enjoy this movie, and I think Brian actually enjoyed this movie as well. And
I did.
And I think a big portion of it is, Scott, I understand that you're going to hate this movie, but you have to understand that this is a movie about me.
100%.
Like,
I know.
We've accused other movies of being Matt Kelly the movie, but like this is uncomfortably Matt Kelly the movie.
Do you want me to just go through my notes that are like okay, let me just do my this is the bookend, okay? Like anything else I say in this episode is just filler. So my first note, not the first note that I take, but the note that is most pertinent to this is Matt picked this movie because he empathizes with this guy, every guy who's obsessed with watching movies. And then at the end, my last note is, what a pathetic loser, I hate this fucking movie. So, I mean, I love you, all right? I truly do. You're like my brother. But this character is the worst person ever.
Well, now I feel bad about what I was about to say. Because I was about to say that me and Matt, we pick on each other. But I make fun of caricatures of Matt. You know, not Matt the person. So I wasn't even going to acknowledge that this guy was him because it was too accurate, you know?
If Matt was an incel, like if Matt was like
no. It's like alternate dimension
then...
Matt Kelly. Yeah, like it's an alternate reality Matt Kelly. It's very clear in this movie that this character is definitely supposed to be on some type of spectrum. Whether they
but he's also sexually abused by his fucking aunt. Like it's
who's actually his mom.
Yeah. Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
When the cops are driving, they're like, this is a weird thing. It looks like he thinks he was raised by his aunt, but it was actually his mother. And like it's just like a throwaway line in one piece of
I must have been
dialogue.
fast forwarding.
Yeah, it's towards the very end. It's brought up so carelessly that I don't think it's supposed to really matter that much.
That makes it so much grosser though.
Yeah, everything.
I mean,
it's time for my back rub, my massage.
I should say my enjoyment of this movie may be a little biased. Me and Jade had an early Christmas this year, and out of left field, she bought me a fucking recliner. And this movie was my first recliner watch. The first movie I watched in my recliner.
Why did it take her this long in your relationship to buy you, Brian fucking Kelly, a recliner? And also, why didn't you buy yourself a recliner? Because like in the vast world of human-made goods, man-made goods, the thing that I feel like you could not live without is a fucking recliner because you're the laziest son of a bitch I've ever fucking met.
I know. And we didn't even have an ottoman. See, the thing is, Jade is the most insanely talented decorators I've ever met. Like she's
but she won't let you have a recliner.
So like that was the thing. It was like, I want a recliner. I was like, I'm going to buy a recliner. She's like, but it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit with the layout. Like, because we live in a skinny townhouse. So, like, it was like, I gave up on the dream. I said, when we buy a house, I'll get a recliner.
You just got a recliner right before you have to move the recliner later on?
He's probably going to pay someone. He's going to have your dad come back down to visit and be like, Dad, can you please move this recliner for me?
But what do you think a recliner is? It's two pieces. Like, I could move it. The bottom piece is heavy.
You could,
and you need
but
like
you
two
won't.
people to move it.
That's the key
literally
thing.
the Brian Kelly motto. You could, but you won't.
Here's the thing. Is Brian Kelly lazy? Yes. But you know what Brian Kelly is more than lazy? Cheap. And it costs money to have someone else lift shit.
That's where that Venn diagram doesn't intersect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a perfect movie. This is a movie that I have said before, I think that there is a way to remake this movie in a much more compelling way, but I don't know how, but I think that there's a way.
Here's the thing about this movie that makes me really hate it. It's the fact that he's got to talk like a wise guy half the time. You know, like that's what I couldn't stand.
Don't emulate Cagney. Of all the people, like if he would have been a Humphrey Bogart guy, which wouldn't really work with the whole villain thing, but still, at least it would be a little bit more tolerable.
So this movie just got its Blu-ray release from Vinegar Syndrome last month. This was like on my long list, but then it popped up on Shudder, and since you guys give
should
me
we
so
ask
much...
you why you picked it?
Yeah, well, I mean, because you guys give me so much shit about always picking these movies that you can never find, so it's like, okay, well, something on my list is on Shudder for once, so let's bump that up before it gets taken off of Shudder.
Big props, big ups to Matt. Both movies I watched on
Streaming
the
services.
TV. Yeah.
The thing with this movie that has caused such an issue with it is that I first heard of this movie in the Fangoria magazine, 101 horror films you've never heard of but should probably see. And the issue with this movie, which shouldn't be a shock, is copyright.
Yeah.
There's so much footage from so many different movies from different studios that it's insane that it didn't cause an issue when it was first released copyright-wise, but now when people really give a shit about copyright law...
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's an internet now.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
They're
Like,
probably like, they won't come after us. See, yeah.
like, it's like one of those things where it's constantly splicing in footage from these old movies. And I like the idea of a horror movie in which a person is so obsessed with film that the like line of reality and fantasy breaks for them, and they just start living out these psychotic horror fantasies. I do agree that Dennis Christopher is a little bit obnoxious in this. Dennis Christopher, most known as playing Eddie Spaghetti in the It miniseries a couple years later after this.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
But I do think that he plays a psychopath very well. Like, I think that he has these looks and these moments where you're like, dude, this guy's fucking unhinged. So I do think that, like, it's got good performances. It's got an interesting concept. But I do think, even when I was watching, I was like, ooh, I don't know if this needed to be almost 2 hours. Like, this could have been a 90-minute movie easily, and I would have been fine with it. But there's a lot that I like about it, but I also don't know if I genuinely like it, or if it's just, like, the same reason why I like Going to Pieces, like the slasher film documentaries. I just like seeing clips of movies I like.
I think that was my biggest thing into it, because, like, the only thing that, like, really bothered me, and I hate to be that guy of, like, the disbelief and, like, that would never happen, but there is not a single universe where that Marilyn Monroe chick would be into him.
So I'll read verbatim the line that I wrote. Speaking from experience, women who look like Marilyn Monroe and sound like Olivia Newton-John did not fall for film nerds who do cosplay.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, Matt doesn't do cosplay.
That's where
you do ska cosplay.
Cosplay,
yeah.
Matt is the worst cosplayer ever. He would be the worst. Matt, every Halloween, Matt has to explain to everyone who he is constantly.
He loves it. Now, I'll admit that I've done a lot of costumes, mostly for like Halloween and such, where I have to explain who I am because I'm in mixed company. But it's not like
it fills my soul to explain.
It's because Matt wants that. He wants to. He's like fucking Herbert on Family Guy. He's like, that's a conversation starter. You know, he's like
that's 100% what it is. That's the funny thing too, is that it's not. This is the way my brain works, and my brain is very broken, as people have learned. But like, my brain basically is like, hey, I want to share this with you. I want you to ask me what this is from,
Nobody
so I can
gives a
tell
fuck
you
about costumes like
so
that.
I can
though,
tell
Matt.
you
That's
about
the
this
problem.
amazing movie that you should absolutely go check out, or this
You
great
know what
TV
people
show.
watch? You know what movies people watch after you tell them about them? None of them. Like
None.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying
The
you
world.
as in
Oh, I
the
know.
objective you. Like, I was literally at the kitchen this morning before recording, and I was like thinking about how hard it is to get people to check out media, like music, movies, books, whatever, that you think are super important, or like, or me. Like, I was thinking about myself. I'm like, fucking really love His Dark Materials. It's such a great show, and the book series is phenomenal, and blah blah blah. But like, getting people to watch that, getting people to buy HBO Max, like to subscribe to it and then watch His Dark Materials is a big ass.
It's a big ass. And well, so it's so funny because I got a message from a friend of the show, Sean from Monster Mania and Cassettes, and he was like, yo, you Christmas loving motherfucker, you need to watch Godmothered on Disney Plus. And I said, okay, I'm going to add it to my list. And he's like, oh, I know what that means. And I'm like, no, that's what that means with a million other
for
people.
Everybody else, yeah, but not Matt Kelly.
Matt Kelly,
Yeah.
I will absolutely, it has been added on the list and I will probably watch it this weekend. But like, I was thinking about this the other day because I think that sometimes, and there's no way to say this, it doesn't sound like I'm patting myself on the back, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, I think that I sometimes get this attitude on the internet specifically as like Joe Nice Guy, essentially. Like he hasn't met like something that he can't compliment. But I think a big portion of that is like, if someone recommends something to me, it is very hard for me to tell them that I disliked it, even if I disliked it, because I feel like anytime that you recommend anything to anybody, be it like a book or a movie or a TV show or something, there's at least a tiny piece of you that's saying like, this spoke to me on a really important way and I want to share it with somebody. So like, to then immediately turn around and be like, it's dog shit and you're an idiot for feeling that way is like...
So maybe I should take back what I said about Let It Snow and Happiest Season. But no, I won't, because I have very firmly held beliefs and I don't apologize for jack shit, and I'm in therapy about this, okay?
No, but you know what I mean? Like, it is like one of those things where it's like, I do feel like when people recommend something, they are bearing a piece of themselves and saying, like,
You are far too sensitive.
I don't think other people are like that.
No, I know for a fact that they're not.
Well, that's Matt said my brain is broken, and this is why. So, I mean, I guess he did put the caveat out there, explanation-wise, of, like, I know I'm not healthy with my obsession.
Well, that's
depending on the movie, like I feel like if somebody like is like, oh man, like the new Rambo is fucking great, and you're like, I thought it was terrible, they're like, but it spoke to me. I think because you watch dramas,
let's also think about, like, let's use me as an example. Because I like to talk about myself, obviously. That's why I have a podcast.
I mean, we all do. That's, again, why we have podcasts.
Yeah, well, okay, so Chopping Mall, all right? Chopping Mall, like, easy. I have suggested that movie to countless human beings and some dogs. And, like, the amount of people that have been like, either I've never seen it and I will not watch a movie called Chopping Mall. People that say, there are three buckets of people right there that have not seen Chopping Mall. There's the people that say, I have no desire to watch a movie called Chopping Mall. There are people that watch a trailer or see the poster and they're like, this looks like fucking stupid bullshit that I have no interest in. There are people that like watch it and they're like, why did you suggest this? And then there are people, there's a very small, minute group of people that have seen it. And then and that's broken into two sides. There's people like me that are obsessed with it. And then the other people are like Katie, who are like, why do you like this movie? Because like, I know that the deck is stacked against me, but I don't take it personally because you know what? Like, that movie gives me so much joy in its stupidity. You know, like,
I guess for me, the one question that I refuse to ever ask anybody, and it's just because I don't know how to answer this question when I'm asked it anyway, is the, like, why do you like this movie? And, you know, I'm going to bring up Happiest Season just for a split second, but, like, we recorded an episode discussing it on my favorite episode of, and in that conversation we kept talking about how it would make so much more sense for the one character to end up with Aubrey Plaza than who they actually end up with, but then the end decision we came to was like, yeah, but the reality is that you can't control who you love and why you love them. And like, I feel like that extends also to like pop culture. Like, it's so hard to explain why something means something to you or why you like something versus just
I can't explain why I love Chopping Mall I do. I truly can't.
Like, it's really hard. It's so much easier to, and this is why people are more likely to write a negative review for something than a positive review, is it's a lot easier to verbalize why you dislike something than why you like something sometimes.
Yeah, I know why I like a lot, because like my friend Ben, I like to think has good taste, but then he shits on so many movies that I love, and I couldn't figure out why, and then it eventually figured out it's like, which I feel like if something doesn't work for you, you shouldn't say it's a bad movie, which he does, which I love him anyway, Ben, but like, he doesn't like getting anxious.
Yeah.
So like,
I don't like getting anxious either, and that's why I would never watch that Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, like he hated that. He hated Hereditary. Like he hated.
I mean,
because if you think about it, I know you don't like being anxious, but that is a fucking anxiety-ridden movie.
Yeah, Hereditary. That's a one and done for me, my friend. Like, and so was Midsummer. Like, both of those movies, like, I just can't deal with that. I have enough anxiety in my real life. I don't want it in my fake life.
I think we've done a really good job of talking about the movie.
Yeah. Well,
so,
okay. So I want to say a couple things. I was literally salivating over that tourist trap poster behind.
I know.
There's some
what
great
a weird
posters.
fucking reference.
Yeah, but I was like, did Chucky Band like have something to do with this movie somehow? So Tourist Trap is 1979.
And this
right?
is 1980.
And it's
so
1980.
it was.
So they must have just been like
readily
somewhere.
available.
Yeah, they were like, here's a fucking. But what I don't understand is, okay, so Halloween was in 78, and they have that Halloween poster that he's dressed up as the Mummy.
Yeah.
And he like punches through and grabs the guy's neck. Why wouldn't you be dressed? Well, first of all, why would you have a Halloween poster? It's 2 years old. It was also pretty popular when it came out, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can answer that question. What happened to our T-shirts? Like, I think Compass Pictures just was like, fuck you about wearing a Michael Myers mask in this movie. You're going to be the goddamn mummy.
But the thing is like, okay, if Compass Pictures International says you can't use Michael Myers, why would they let them use the poster? And if they let them use the poster, but they say you cannot use a Michael Myers mask, why wouldn't they just put a fucking mummy poster up? Like it's like a Chekhov's gun, but the inverse.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So like, I mean, I'll go on the record of saying the mummy death is my least favorite of all of the deaths anyway.
Even worse than John Wayne, because that was really fucking stupid, and that costume was really bad.
You mean Hopalong
I liked
Cassidy?
it. It was like a racer head.
Yeah.
I liked the way he looked.
I liked his Hopalong Cassidy kill.
Oh, sorry.
Dennis Christopher, not a bad casting if you want to do a Bela Lugosi Dracula throwback. He made that outfit look pretty decent. But my big thing for him is it establishes that you're not supposed to like this character right out the gate when he first meets the Marilyn Monroe lookalike and he's trying to get her to guess Creature from the Black Lagoon and she can't get the answer right and he literally goes, "It's Creature from the Black Lagoon, stupid." It's like,
No, I think that he said that to her friend, didn't he?
yeah, he says it to the friend, but still, it's like,
Oh,
and,
he's such a fucking
and
asshole.
she's
like,
charmed by it for some reason. She's like,
I think it's just because, like, so the thing is that woman literally got this job because she was an Australian Marilyn Monroe impersonator. And so she got brought to America to do Fade to Black because they wanted a Marilyn Monroe impersonator. But is such a good impersonator that she can't fucking act.
Yeah.
You know, like Marilyn Monroe was not a good actor in my opinion.
No, she wasn't.
And she was drunk all the time. So the best part of this movie has to be when the Marilyn Monroe impersonator is fucking wasted on wine and she's falling all over her apartment and goes, drunk again. Like, I want that as a sound clip.
The two scenes that I have written down that jump out at me as also delightfully hilarious in the worst kind of ways is one note just says, "There's nothing sexier than a one-man blues band." When
Oh, the guy that had in his contract that he required at least one harmonica solo or he would walk.
Dude, he's just sitting there blasting that harmonica and just going like, "Oh yeah!"
Have I ever told you guys how much I hate harmonica? Like,
Yes.
harmonica is my least fucking favorite instrument in the world of instruments.
Yeah, you've mentioned it a couple times.
Well, I mention it again.
The other one is that whoever was in charge of ADRing the sound of a sink running accidentally grabbed a man pissing into a toilet bowl because there's no, like that. I was sitting there and, I was watching this at work. And really cool fun fact that I love for all you cool cats and kittens out there is that if you watch any video now on Firefox, there's a little icon that you can click on the video and it rips the video out of whatever page you're watching it on and just permanently puts it in the bottom right corner of your screen. So you can like have it in the bottom corner while you're like typing emails and doing all this other stuff. Total game changer for me. So I'm doing work. And I'm like, is he peeing right now? And then I look at the screen, I'm like, he's washing his face. So I don't think he can be peeing and washing his face simultaneously.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, that's right. Fair. You know what? I didn't even think about it from that point.
I pee and brush my teeth a lot.
But that's different. That's like, you're not leaning your face
toilet.
into a sink while standing in front of a toilet simultaneously. That's some
I don't even like
skills.
standing while I pee, like brush my teeth. I tried to save myself,
You
but the
guys
truth
who
is I
sit
don't
down-
like standing while I pee. I just don't.
Yeah. Matt, are you a sit down to pee guy too?
No, I stand to pee.
Okay. Brian really does seem like the sit down to pee kind of guy. Going back to the whole recliner thing.
Well, I got a weird. It's really not lazy as much as like I got
Brian,
a weird stream.
Brian,
sometimes it shoots to the side.
Stop.
It goes, why?
I'm gonna make a reference to a Garfield comic that I think of
Why?
all of the time.
What?
Mondays?
There's a Garfield comic where John Arbuckle is sitting at his table drinking coffee, and he sees Garfield dragging a TV past him, and then Garfield walks by again, and then he comes by again with like hammers and nails, and then he hears a bunch of hammering and nailing happen, and then he walks into the living room, and Garfield has nailed the TV on the ceiling directly above his bed, and John says, "There are few people on this planet that work so hard to be so lazy." And that is Brian Kelly in a nutshell.
I went to Walmart to get hot dog rolls, and there is this
I'm so glad you said rolls after that, because I literally thought the story was about you needing a hot dog from Walmart.
no, we had
But
this.
it's not much better that he's like, I'm getting hot dog rolls.
Well, we got like these chicken
Oh,
apple
you mean
sausages, like
you mean buns?
Yes.
yeah, buns.
No,
buns.
I thought you meant hot dog rolls, like hot dogs in like a croissant or something. And I'm like, what? They're called buns, you fuck.
Okay, so I went to get, and as I'm going, I just noticed this like short, wide woman. She looks so angry, and she's marching up and down the aisles, just like not going down them, but looking. And then I go to self-checkout, and I guess she was looking for an employee. But the whole time I'm looking, she's marching up and down. She finds one at the checkout point as I'm doing the self-checkout, marches up to her and goes, "Where's your scooters?" And the woman goes, "They're out front to ride." She's like, "Okay," and then walks out front, and I'm like, "You could have been done by now. Like, I saw you walking down the aisles. You could have been done. You spent so much energy looking for a scooter to ride on that you would have been in your car already."
Not the point. Not the point.
Yeah, it's all about listen, Brian.
How to inconvenience someone else. That's what it's all
And
about.
also, like, let's not forget what state you're reporting from.
Yeah, they think that's what they vote on. Everyone should have a scooter.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah,
want equal
fucking-
health care, just equal scooters.
Yeah. We're sick of being treated poorly just because our legs work fine and we don't get woozy. We should get a scooter and we should get a wheelchair.
Oh, God.
I have two things that I need to talk about, all right?
I hope it's one of the things that I have written down. Go.
Mickey Rourke is in this. I actually noticed that it was
Yes.
Mickey Rourke without having to check Wikipedia or IMDb. I was like, that's Mickey fucking Rourke. And then right before he gets fucking shot to death, he goes, "You little shithead." And that's another sound clip I would love to have, just the way that he said it. I don't know what it was about it, but it's great. But the other thing is that we have to watch this dude's fucking vinegar strokes as he's literally pleasuring himself.
I literally just
on
wrote
screen.
down, this
No.
might be the most pained masturbation scene I've ever seen.
Oh, it's just because you don't look at yourself in the mirror when you do it, all
Well,
right?
to most people.
Hey, dude, I tried everything when I was a teenager, all right?
God.
All I know is if I ever looked at myself having sex or jerking off in the mirror, I would lose my libido completely because
that's-
it's
never
not
want to know
helpful.
what Jade has to see.
Well, that's it's like the Michael Birbiglia line where he's like, "I don't understand how anybody can videotape themselves having sex, because my first thought when I'm done sex is, thank God no one else saw that." But yeah, I mean, Fade to Black, maybe not my greatest pick. Far from my
I
worst
enjoyed
pick,
it.
but I
Because you're in a recliner.
And
No.
yeah, I was in a recliner. And Matt, the movie's about Matt, but it also had a me cameo, which is the two dudes at the carnival, and one's cruising for tail, but the other one just wants to play the games, because that's what I would do.
But okay, so double features, Fade to Black. I'm gonna go with the easy one. I picked this. Why not? Popcorn, the other movie about someone obsessed with
the
horror
better
movies.
movie.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
better film.
I'd go with Eraserhead.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
that's
because
fair.
of that John Wayne scene really reminded me of it.
all right.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with New Year's Evil because they both came out in 1980, I believe. Or New Year's
Yeah.
Evil was 81, but New Year's Evil looks as shitty as Fade to Black does.
Yes, that is true.
And it has a better soundtrack.
So, talking about things that I watched recently, I was super late to this. Everyone had told me that it was great. I put it off, but I finally watched Satanic Panic, and that movie fucking rules.
Oh, so fun.
Yeah,
That
I
movie's-
gotta watch it eventually.
I literally
You haven't watched it yet, Brian?
No.
Oh, you guys are lucky that you that's okay. Sometimes I get jealous of you guys, very, very seldom. But sometimes I get jealous. Sometimes I get jealous of you guys because and Joe from Fright School. I get super jealous of him constantly because he's like, I'm seeing this movie for the first time, and I'm like, oh, you motherfucker! Like, I wish I could go and like when Brian got to see Black Roses, when we introduced him to Black Roses for the first time, like that shit. That's drugs, you know. I'm so jealous.
The closest you ever get to that anymore is like I texted my two friends Ruth and Rachel and was like, hey, you need to watch two movies that I think you'll love because they love horror movies. I was like, you need to watch Satanic Panic and you need to watch Patchwork. And then I was like, side note, you're not allowed to watch Patchwork unless I'm there watching it with you. Because that's like the only way you get to experience it for the first time all over again is watching someone watch it for the first time and like watching them have like the same reactions that you had. And you're like, yeah, I remember when I felt that way.
Yeah,
it's going to be a while till I watch Satanic Panic, but I'm excited to see it.
It's short. It's like an 80
It's
minute
an hour.
movie.
Yeah, it's only an hour and 20 minutes.
It's not that. It's just Jay doesn't travel, obviously. I work my ass off, so the only time I can really watch TV, unless I force her to leave me alone for the podcast, is something we both agree on. And believe it or not, I married a woman who cannot stand horror comedies.
Oh.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a movie that I watched that had been on my Shudder list for forever, and this goes in with the fact that, you know, Fade to Black was on Shudder as well. I mean, I watched this a couple weeks ago, but I've been waiting to talk about it because we were talking about Mando and some other things. But I watched The Siren. I think it was from 2017 or 18, and it is a very, very small budget film, and it's really, really good. It kind of feels to me like Spring from the guys that did The Endless and
Oh, okay. Yeah. I forget what their other one is, but yeah.
The one that I don't like. It's this guy who's mute, and he meets a siren, like a woman who drowned in a lake, and it's one of those movies where you think it's a very basic, boring plot, and it's nothing like crazy happens, but it's a very interesting take on a siren. She's not actually like a siren as much as a Rusalka, I think that's how you say it, Rusalka, which is a little bit more malevolent pond-dwelling spirit. Really cool idea, and I think that the only reason it worked is because the two main characters, there are really only three main characters, but the two main characters, the mute guy and the siren herself, just have really good chemistry without saying a lot. And a lot of that probably has to also do with really good direction. But I thought that it was a really powerful movie. I liked it a lot. It's not something that I would watch a ton of times, but give it a couple years and I'd totally rewatch it. It's a really good movie, and I'd highly recommend it.
Nice.
I found out that HBO Max has Turner Classic Movies, which blew my mind, got me really excited. So I loaded up my watch list, but I didn't get a chance to watch. I watched a Charlie Chaplin short called The Pilgrim, and then I watched The Maltese Falcon. And
Nice.
Man, I just love those movies. And
I do too. I miss.
We know you picked Fade to Black.
True. I think it's one of those things where, like, now that I'm like in a much more slowed down pace, thanks to the pandemic and also age, I'm like, man, what I wouldn't give to like have 1990s Turner Classics and 1990s like History and Discovery Channel back, where it was like it's like I would just have it on in the background all day, like just listening to like history documentaries or like National Geographic Discovery stuff instead of like just fucking weird reality shows about aliens that is all those channels play.
I know,
anymore.
dude, it's so annoying, but I'm glad that Turner Classic is streaming now because I'm so excited. I don't have cable, right? So like Turner Classic Movies you can only get on cable, and for whatever reason it's only on the sports package. So like if I want to watch old classic movies, I got to buy like all ESPN, like just shit that I would never watch. So
here's the pitch that I can imagine for that. is that the sports package are like, are you a man? Do you like sports? We've got all of it. And then we've also got this for that whiny bitch wife of yours. That's the only way that's the only way that makes sense for being on the package, is just really upping the toxic masculinity sale of the sports package.
Yeah, I know. And I don't
know
that
wife that you barely talk about? She likes old shit. Enjoy this.
Dude, they're just so fun to watch. Even Bill Burr was talking about the original The Thing and how great like those like old shitty, because it's so ridiculous on how they thought human beings acted. You know, like he was going on this rant about like whoever in history, when they're like really passionate about something, like this guy's freaking out because there's a monster coming to kill him, and his friend like will either like slap him or throw water all over him, and his response is, sorry, I freaked out there for a second. It's like,
I'm glad that you brought that up. Not that we're going to talk about The Thing from another world, but Scott has already pointed out that I am just kicking off 2021 with Matt loves vintage movies this year.
Oh, yeah.
So strap in for those of you who really enjoyed our coverage on Horror at Party Beach. Man, do I have some golden picks for you over the next 12 months.
So I want to give everyone, just since this is the first official episode of 2021, I want to let everybody know that we have everything past episode 300 planned out, right?
Yep.
Or maybe there might be a little wiggle room, but what I'm seeing is Matt's only picking shit from the 50s and early 60s. Brian is only picking stuff from the 70s, and basically I'm only picking shit from the 90s. So if you're into any of those things and you listen to the show and you know what we've already done, you can probably figure out what each of us has planned for the next couple months, and strap in, because it's going to be the most authentic. We're going to be our most authentic selves.
For sure. When you see what movie we're talking about, you will immediately be like, oh, well, that was clearly a Scott pick, or that was clearly a Matt pick.
Yeah, it's not going to be like when I picked Dead Heat, like, although that is a very Scott movie, it just doesn't seem so on the surface.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just so you know, a lot of my picks are going to be bad, but you don't know the weight, the pressure that I have on me, where I really want to watch 70s movies, but I really cannot sit through any 5-minute rape scene, which was like the favorite thing to do in the 70s. I'm like navigating my way through that decade.
I hope that he's like previewing some of these, or at least checking the Wikipedia, so we don't get stuck with Act of Vengeance or something like that.
Well, that's like that's the thing is, we'll find out hopefully, but for the most part, the 70 movies, like the rape is like the synopsis of the movie. So I can just read it, and it's just like, they may not come out and say, but it's like, a woman gets revenge. Yep, nope, not watching that.
Why do you think I haven't picked Ms. 45?
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us talk about anything but Fade to Black, but it's probably for the best for my self-esteem and for your listening pleasure. So we will be back next week with another movie. Actually, Scott lied to you, because his first pick of the new year is something that literally came out exactly 10 years ago, now that it's 2021.
Right.
So strap in.
That was on purpose, because I was literally waiting for 2021 so that we could get to our 10-year the decade passed and worth it. Now we can watch it. But if you like hot guys, you're going to like next week's episode, and it has nothing to do with us.
Hell yeah.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.